Earth's sky went dark, satellites dead. Power grid shattered, and the Galactic Council was already waiting for humans to beg. Then a single message broke through the silence. Counterstrike authorized. No polished fleet. No grand plan. Just scrap-built ships, civilians in patched suits, and a planet that refused to kneel. Minutes later, Dominion warships started going quiet, lights out, weapons offline, like someone stole their eyes. That's when the Council realized the truth. Earth wasn't ready for space war, but is ready to hit back. The Galactic Council had seen wars start with speeches. They had seen empires rise with treaties. They had seen planets burn because a vote came too late. But they had never seen a world answer an invasion like this. Earth was supposed to beg. Earth was supposed to split into factions. Earth was supposed to argue about rules and surrender terms. That was the prediction. That was the math. So when the council chamber lights dimmed and the emergency hologram appeared, most delegates expected one of two images: a broken Earth or a proud Earth asking for mercy instead. The projection showed a cold message in old Terran radio code, short, sharp, and repeated 3 times, like a hammer hitting metal. Counterstrike authorize. Counterstrike authorize. Counterstrike authorized. The room went quiet. Even the species that did not breathe seemed to hold still. At the center dais, High Arbiter Sarvel of the Keth leaned forward. His voice was calm, but his eyes narrowed. Earth is not a council member, he said. They have no legal right to a second message cut over the first. Not words, a sound, a long, writhing tone that made sensitive ears ache. A signal that older species recognized from dark histories. A war beacon. And beneath it, a simple tag in council translation: "We did not ask permission." 3 days earlier, the sky above Earth had looked normal. Blue soft clouds, sunlight on glass, and steel. Now the first ships arrived. They did not show flags. They did not send diplomats. They did not speak. They dropped into orbit like stones. The first strike was not meant to destroy Earth, it was meant to scare it. The enemy, known in council files as the Van Dominion, targeted power grids, satellites, and data cables. They hit ports, not cities. If you broke airports, not hospitals. They cut the world's eyes and hands. It was a clean strike, a professional strike. In council logic, it was the perfect opening move. It forced surrender without risking damage to valuable resources. A planet that could not see, could not coordinate, could not trade would fold. They assumed humans would do what most young worlds did. They assumed humans would panic. They were half right. Humans did panic for 6 hours. Then something else happened. In a military bunker under a mountain, General Mara Ellison stared at a wall of dead screens. She listened to the last satellite feed dissolve into static. She watched the power map of the planet go dark in large chunks. Around her, officers argued. Voices climbed. Plans collapsed. Old playbooks meant nothing when half the planet's networks were down. A young communications officer swallowed hard. "Ma'am, we can't coordinate with allied nations. Global command is fractured." General Ellison did not shout. She did not slam the table. She simply said, "Then stop waiting for global, build local. And if local fails, build smaller." Someone laughed, stressed and bitter. "With what? They blindsided us. We weren't ready for space war." Ellison turned. Her face was tired, her voice was flat. "Correct," she said. "We weren't ready." She stepped closer to the map, where enemy ships glowed like red scars in orbit. "But they made one mistake," she added. "They assumed being unprepared means being harmless." At a coastal shipyard, welders worked under blackout curtains. In a desert launch site, engineers pulled old rockets from storage like bones from a grave. In underground labs, scientists broke rules they had written themselves. Earth did not have a grand fleet, not compared to the Dominion, not compared to the Council's older powers. What Earth had something else. A species-wide habit of turning junk into weapons and a history of fighting enemies that were bigger, richer, and more advanced. Humans called it many things: survival, improvisation, stubbornness. In one cramped control room, a civilian software team watched a captured enemy drone replay its own sensor logs. The drone had been shot down by something that should not have reached orbit, an old atmospheric interceptor, modified with a new guidance brain and a warhead that was never meant for space. The log showed the drone's last view: a human missile twisting like a hunting bird, riding heat and debris in madness. One programmer whispered, "That Shouldn't work. His supervisor, a woman with grease on her hands and sleepless eyes, said, "It works because we don't care what should happen." She zoomed into the enemy drone's navigation. Protocol thought it was clean, elegant, predictable. It trusted rules. Humans smiled. When they saw that dot rules were things humans broke when they were losing back in the Galactic Council, delegates watched the invasion feats with cautious interest. The Von Dominion was not loved, but it was feared. The Council tolerated it because it kept trade lanes stable, which was Council language for quiet. Earth was an outsider, a loud one. Human broadcasts were messy. Human diplomacy was aggressive. Human media made even peaceful moments feel like war. So when the Dominion hit Earth, some Council members felt relief. A problem was being corrected. The High Arbiter spoke smoothly to the chamber. Earth is a developing world. It will sign the surrender framework within 12 standard days. Let us prepare a humanitarian oversight. A few delegates nodded. An old crystalline envoy clicked its facets in approval. Then the chamber assistant drone drifted in and projected a new update. Earth's response. No. Surrender signal detected. Earth's response. Multiple launches detected. The High Arbiter frowned. Multiple launches, he repeated. What launches? Their orbital infrastructures crippled. The assistant drone displayed images, not sleek warships, not professional fleets. It showed cargo rockets, survey craft, mining, TUGS, weather satellites retrofitted into kinetic darts, old museum-grade shuttles launching with patched hulls and fresh paint. The chamber filled with laughter. A Dominion observer, sitting in the guest section, smiled like a blade. See, the Dominion envoy said. They throw scrap at the sky. They are children. The High Arbiter lifted a hand for silence. Earth will exhaust itself, he said. Then it will sign. He believed that. The Council believed that. Because the launch has looked like panic. Because the ships looked unprepared. Because the humans were not supposed to know what they were doing. They did not understand the first law of human war. If it looks like chaos, it may be a trap. The first Dominion ship to die did not explode in a beautiful flash. It simply went dark one moment. It was there, shielded, stable, proud. The next moment its engines shut off. Its lights died. Its weapons systems stopped responding. A dead ship in orbit is not just dead, it is a falling mountain. The Dominion ship began to drift slowly at first, then faster as gravity took hold. Dominion officers shouted at their systems. They called it a glitch, a cosmic interference. Then 5 more ships went dark. Then 12. Then a broadcast appeared on Dominion channels. The audio was rough, the translation imperfect, but the meaning was clear. A human voice, calm, almost bored. We found your command frequency, it said. Thanks for leaving it open. The Dominion envoy in the Council chamber sat up straight. That is impossible, he snapped out. High Arbiter. Soval's throat tightened. How did they? The assistant drone displayed the answer before anyone asked. Source. Captured drone. Analysis. Earth used drone memory to map Dominion network. Earth deployed viral signal through orbital debris. Field. The laughter died. A Council strategist leaned forward, eyes wide. The use debris as a relay. Another delegate whispered, "That's insane." A third muttered, "That's clever." Up above Earth, the Dominion fleet began to adjust formation. Too late, because the first phase of Earth's counterstrike was never about guns. It was about eyes. It was about silence. It was about cutting the predator's senses and watching it panic. Humans did not need to outgun the Dominion. They only needed to make the Dominion blind. For 10 minutes. 10 minutes was enough. General Ellison watched live feeds through a patchwork network of underground cables and improvised relays. Colonel Basiah swallowed. "Ma'am, these assets, they're not military." Ellison nodded. "Once I know." Outside the bunker, Earth's fleet assembled. It was not a fleet in the clean way the Council understood fleets. It was a swarm mining ships with reinforced prows, tugs with engine boosters bolted on, cargo haulers carrying containers that were not containers anymore. Every ship had one shared feature, a cheap, ugly module welded onto its belly, a human-made signal spiker, a tool designed to scream noise into enemy systems. Not advanced, not elegant, just loud. A civilian pilot, a woman who once moved ice shipments between moons, tightened her harness and spoke into a mic. "Tell command we're in position," she said. A controller answered, "Copy, Sparrow 3. Stay cold until the drop." The pilot looked at the stars. She could see faint shadows, Dominion ships moving against the dark. She whispered, Not to the controller, but to herself. You picked the wrong planet. Then the code word came. Drop. The swarm lit up. Thousands of spikers screamed into space at once. The signal was ugly. It wasn't one perfect beam. It was a storm. Dominion shields flared. Targeting systems hiccuped. Friend or foe tags scrambled. The Dominion fleet tried to switch to backup channels. Humans were already there. Because humans did not play fair with networks, they played like thieves. And in the middle of the noise, Earth launched a second phase. A single clean transmission across all bands. We are coming up. Asterisk. On the far edge of the Dominion formation, an ancient ship drifted like a sleeping beast. It was not a Dominion design. It was older. The Council had records of it. But they were sealed, classified, forgotten by most. A relic from a war that ended before. Many species had invented writing. Its name in old translation was simple, Dragon. Not because it looked like one, but because it fought like one. It was a captured warship of a vanished species, one that burned worlds and vanished into myth. The Dominion kept it as a symbol, a threat, a trophy. The Dominion never used it in real combat. Not until Earth, not until the Dominion commander decided humans needed a lesson. He sent the Dragon forward. Council delegates watched uneasy. The Dragon's hull shimmered. Its weapon ports opened, like jaws. Energy gathered. Then the Dragon fired. A beam struck a human mining ship near the front of the swarm. The mining ship didn't have shields. It was supposed to die, but it didn't. Instead, it detonated in a controlled way. Its cargo and mineral containers burst into space. Not minerals. Reflective chaff. Thermal foam. Thousands of smart fragments that spread out. Like glitter in sunlight. The Dragon's sensors screamed false targets. Its beam cut empty darkness to mining ship. Still burning, rammed forward anyway because humans did not always require survival to complete a mission. It struck the Dragon's side and latched on. Magnetic clamps, but explosives shaped for asteroid cracking punched into old armor seams. The Dragon shuddered, and for the first time in centuries, the myth ship bled fire. The council chamber erupted in noise. That ship cannot be harmed, someone shouted. The Dominion envoy stood, face pale. That relic is a new transmission cut through every channel, including the council's sealed feeds. A human voice again. Different this time. Younger, breathless, excited. Council, the voice said. We found your Dragon. It paused, like the speaker was smiling. And it turns out, dragons can choke. Asterisk. The Dominion commander tried to regain control. He ordered kinetic screens. He ordered emergency burns. He ordered the destruction of the human swarm. But the swarm was not one formation. It was thousands of tiny choices. Every time the Dominion fired, humans scattered. Every time the Dominion chased, humans led them into debris pockets and signal storms. It was not a battle. The Dominion understood it was a street fight in orbit. Then came the part that made the Council go still. Earth did not stop with defense. Earth did not stop with get them away from our planet. Earth launched a third phase, a strike, beyond the orbit, beyond the moon, straight into Dominion supply routes. Council sensors lit up with sudden flashes. Dominion fuel depots going dark. Cargo convoys vanishing. Buoys falling silent. A Council analyst stared at the feed in disbelief. They're hitting logistics, he whispered. They're not trying to win a battle. They're trying to starve the fleet. High Arbiter. Soval's voice was tight. How can they reach that far? They have no fleet projection. The assistant drone answered with cold data. Earth USED. Civilian freight lanes. Earth hid strike teams in commercial truck traffic. Earth hijacked Dominion nav markers and rewrote routes. A delegate from a trade-heavy species made a choking sound. They weaponized commerce, she said. Another whispered, horrified. They turned shipping into war. The Dominion envoy's hands trembled. That is piracy, he spat. The human transmission returned. Like it was listening. Correct, it said. You invaded our home. So we're past the part where labels matter. Then the final line came, simple English spoken slowly so translation would not fail. You taught us your war. A beat. Now we teach you ours. Asterisk. In the bunker, General Ellison watched casualty report. They were not small. Humans were dying in orbit. Civilians, volunteers, people who had never worn a uniform in their life. A commander beside her whispered, "Ma'am, if we keep pushing." Ellison raised a hand. "We keep pushing," she said. Her voice did not shake, but her eyes were red. "This ends one of two ways," she continued. Either they learn fear, or they come back again in 10 years with something worse. She leaned closer to the screen, watching the Dominion fleet slow as fuel ran thin. "Thought we were unprepared," she said softly. "They were right. We didn't have the ships." She pointed to the swarm, to the hacked signals, to the broken dragon ship burning in silent orbit. "But we had the people," she added, "had the will, and we had the one thing every young species has when it refuses to die." She paused. Enough madness to rewrite the rules. On the council dais, High Arbiter Soval's confidence cracked. He had seen wars, he had seen clever strategies, but this was a planet using its weaknesses like weapons, a developing world turning scrap into blades, a species taking a clean invasion and turning it into a messy nightmare. Council delegates argued in panic now. Call for a ceasefire. Sanction Earth. Sanction the Dominion first. Earth is destabilizing trade routes. Earth is proving we were wrong. The Dominion envoy slammed his fist on his desk. "You must stop them," he shouted. "This is unlawful. This is savage." High Arbiter Soval stared at the live feed. A Dominion battleship, crippled and drifting, was surrounded by human tugs, not to destroy it, to tow it, to drag it down into Earth's atmosphere, to make a point visible from the ground, to show every human on the planet that the invader could fall. Soval's voice came out dry. "You came to break them," he told the Dominion envoy. The envoy snarled. "And we will." Soval's gaze stayed on the burning ship. "You may still win," he said quietly. Then he turned, and for the first time his tone carried fear. "But if they survive, if Earth survives this, then the galaxy will never forget what they did while unprepared." He looked across the chamber. "They will not build fleets the way we do," he warned. "They will build answers." As the battle raged, a new signal reached the council. Not a hacked burst, not a war beacon, a formal transmission, routed through neutral channels, translated into every council tongue. A human diplomat appeared on the hologram. She wore no crown, no armor, just a plain suit, stained with dust like she had been sleeping on floors. Her expression was steady. "Galactic Council," she said. "You're watching our home get attacked." She lifted a small device in her hand. An old Earth symbol flickered on it, blue and green, scarred by war. "We did not ask to join your politics," she continued, "but your politics found us anyway." She leaned forward slightly. "Here is what you need to understand," she said. "We are not a small world to be corrected." Her voice hardened. "We are a lesson." Around her, the sound of alarms echoed in the background. "Stop the Dominion," she said, "or don't. But know this, every ship they lose to us becomes a blueprint. Every trick they use becomes our tool." She paused. Then she delivered the line that made the entire chamber go silent. "And if you punish us for fighting back, we will remember that too." Her eyes scanned the chamber as if she could see each delegate. "We are unprepared today," she said. "We will not be unprepared tomorrow." She ended the transmission with a simple human gesture. Not a bow, not a salute. A small nod, like a promise. The Dominion commander finally understood. This was not a war he could win quickly. Every hour he stayed near Earth, he lost fuel. He lost ships. He lost control of his own systems. Every hour he fought humans. Humans learned, and humans learned fast. So the commander made a cruel decision. He ordered the dragon ships, still damaged, still burning, to fire again. Not at orbit, at Earth itself. At a major city. The council screamed objections. Even neutral delegates rose in horror. "High Arbiter," Soval shouted, "that is forbidden." But the dragon's weapon began charging. General Ellison saw it. For 1 second, she closed her eyes, then she opened them and spoke one sentence into the mic. "Release the spear." The controller hesitated. "Ma'am, spear is not tested." Ellison's voice was ice. "Release it anyway." In deep space, far from cameras, a small object detached from a human cargo frame. It was not a missile, it was not a ship, it was a slab of metal the size of a bus, wrapped in heat shielding, packed with guidance thrusters and one core idea. If you cannot outgun the enemy, you drop something they cannot ignore. The spear accelerated, silent, cold, a blunt, ugly thing falling through dark. The dragon fired its beam, and the spear hit its spine. The impact did not look dramatic. It looked like a god flicking a toy. The dragon's ship snapped. Its beam died mid-air. Its hull broke into slow, burning pieces. Some pieces fell toward Earth. Human tugs rushed in, pushing debris away, taking impacts, sacrificing themselves to keep the sky clean. The Council watched the dragon die, and they finally understood the title they had laughed at. Earth's counterstrike was ruthless, not because humans enjoyed destruction, but because humans had decided the Dominion would not get a second chance. Hours later, the Dominion fleet began to retreat, not because it was destroyed, because it was exhausted, because it was hungry, because it had been forced into a kind of war it did not train for. The Council did what the Council always did. They called an emergency session. They demanded reports, they argued laws, but the galaxy was already changing because every screen across known space showed the same thing. A planet with half its systems down, a planet with no true navy, a planet completely unprepared, launching a counterstrike so violent and smart that an empire's proud fleet backed away. Arbiter Soval sat in his chair long after the chamber cleared. The assistant drone hovered, waiting for orders. Soval finally spoke, quietly, to no one. "We thought they were dangerous because of their anger," he murmured. He stared at the last image of the dragon ship cracking apart. "But they're dangerous because of their hope." He swallowed. "Hope makes them build weapons out of loss." On Earth dawn came. The sky was pale, streaked with faint lines of burning debris that never reached the ground. People stood outside, staring upward. They had no full news feeds, no perfect images, but they saw enough. They saw a ship fall, saw a threat blink out on the bunker. General Ellison received a final report. Dominion forces were withdrawing to the edge of the system for now. A colonel exhaled, shaking. "Ma'am, we did it." Ellison did not smile. She looked at the casualty list again. Then she looked at the engineering reports. What worked, what failed, what they could build next, because she knew something the galaxy did not yet accept. This was only the first round. She turned to her officers. "Send a message to the Council," she said. "What message?" the colonel asked. Ellison's eyes were tired, but bright. "Simple," she replied. "Basic English, so nobody mishears." She leaned closer to the mic and spoke slowly. "Tell them this. A beat. We were unprepared. Another beat. And we still hit back." Her voice sharpened like steel cooling. "Now imagine, when we are ready." A day later, in the Galactic Council chamber, the emergency lights flickered again, not because of the Dominion, because dozens of new signals appeared at the edge of Council space. New shipyards, new construction projects, new alliances forming. Quietly. Planets that had once feared the Dominion were suddenly brave, because Earth proved something that spread like fire. Even the unprepared can become unstoppable if they refuse to kneel. And somewhere deep in a Dominion command vault, an officer watched the dragon ship's death over and over. He whispered a single word that was not in any Council treaty. "Human." He said it like a warning. He said it like a curse. He said it like a prayer. Because now the galaxy had a new truth. Earth did not need permission to become a threat. Earth only needed a reason.